Good morning, and sorry about the raging noise that I'm right next to, but I'm literally right next to the water's edge here. And I've been looking, actually, if I point you around, I don't know whether you can just see, you see this area up here with this little waterfall. I looked at this and thought there was a shot there. But actually, as you can see now, what we have today is a bright blue sky day, and it's really bright, which isn't the best kind of weather conditions to actually shoot waterfalls, obviously, because you're getting lots of bright areas, lots of specular highlights, not ideal. So I've been looking at this area, and there's definitely a shot here. I've tried to get in here, but it's treacherous because it's limestone and it's really, really slippy. So I'm going to bank this one for a later date, not only because it's bright in here, but there's also lots of wild garlic around here. It's growing everywhere, right the way through here, and I think there's going to be a shot to be had just a little bit later on, in probably another month or so, when this is all blooming with wild garlic. I think it could be nice, a really nice foreground off the bank sides here to give a bit more interest to the shot, and just, it might just lift it a little more here. The good thing as well with this shot back here is that you can eliminate the sky. Obviously you've got the sky up here, but you can get low enough to get rid of that and just keep more of these waterfalls in the shot, so definitely worth coming back to. However, in this same area, I've noticed the water is absolutely raging through here. If I just spin you around, you can see I've got my camera here, and just down here, if I just raise you up a little, you can see this water here is absolutely raging through, and I'm picking out little areas of that and little detail shots that I think work really well. And actually on the back of the camera they look absolutely beautiful, because what you have going on is lots of light and shade, and it's working really well as just like a texture detail shot. I've got a square crop lined up. I wanted to get you to the back of the camera and kind of show you what I have. But it just goes to show that when you get to an area, you're not always going to get the shot you think. Obviously, just getting back from Tuscany, I had those wide open vistas, so there's plenty to work with there. You come to an area like this and you have to kind of limit what you're looking for, because obviously I haven't got big vistas. You've got smaller little detail shots to work with. So it's a case of looking around to see what actually draws your interest. And this point here is what's interesting me most at the minute, is these texture shots. So I'll get you to the back, as I said. I'll walk you through what I've got lined up. Currently I have the 35 to 70 on my camera, and I've got a couple of shots, but what I'm getting is a couple of distracting rocks. So what I think I might do is, before I get you to the back of the camera, I'm going to have a look with the 100 to 200 and see if I can eliminate those distractions just that little bit. What I'll do as well is I can pop both shots up. If there's a significant difference between the two, I can pop both up with the one with the 35 to 70 and one with the 100 to 200. You can see the difference between the two images, and then I can kind of walk you through the process of how I've lined the shots up. But yeah, I'm going to switch lenses and have a quick look, and then I'll get you to the back of the camera. You can see I've got this 4:3 aspect ratio going on here, and that's because I'm using the whole frame, and there's lots of lights and darks down in the water down here that I really want to capture. They're getting some really nice beautiful textures in there. I'm just going to keep shooting as we're talking, because this is, with this sort of scene, it's ever changing, so you can keep taking as many shots as you like and you're never going to get one the same. But as you can see, just by my histogram down in that bottom right corner there, I'm bang in the middle for exposure. I'm underexposing by almost the stop, but obviously as it gets brighter, I'm having to adjust that. If I just take a shot now, we can have a look and make sure it's not overexposing, but it looks pretty good from what I'm seeing. Yeah, you see, I'm way under there, so I've got plenty to work with. But the patterns that this is making are just absolutely beautiful. And just by moving your camera these small increments, you can get such a different look to your image with this. Now, obviously I'm in at 100 with this one, but the 35 to 70 image, I was doing like a square crop. But I think because I'm tighter in here, it actually works a lot better. You're eliminating a lot of them, a lot more distractions, like the rocks that were in there. We're just adding those little bit of distracting elements, and I've got rid of that now by going in tighter. And I'm just focusing on all these sort of lights and darks of the water as it moves through. Keeping it nice and simple with settings, ISO 100, f16, a fourth of a second, because that's working really well for the amount of water that's rushing through here. And yeah, just keep firing off these images. Now what I'll do is I'm going to put, when we get to the end screen, I'm going to put both images up, the square crop that I took on the 35 to 70 and this one with the 4x3, and let me know which one you prefer in the comments below. So yeah, this place has definitely got potential, and you can see as I walk through here, there's bits and pieces where the wild garlic are just starting to come out. If I kind of point you down to this way here, you can just see down here the wild garlic starting to come through, and I think there'll be some really interesting shots actually once that wild garlic actually comes out. It'll be really a nice little area to come back to. But definitely if you come to a location you're finding that the light's not quite right, or it's not working for you, try those close-up detail shots, because I could spend hours just photographing the patterns in the water and the different shapes you can produce. You can get some really unique images by doing that. So I think this is definitely one to checkbook to come back to at a later date, but glad we've come here today. So that's kind of the first location we've kind of checked out. So onwards today, and let's see what else we can find. So after that first shoot this morning, we've now headed back towards Keswick and decided to head up Latrig again. Now obviously I've been here before, and it's always one of those places that's quite difficult to shoot because you tend to get a lot of haze, and that's exactly what we've got today again. A lot of haze in this location. But what we have got is a lot of snow on the tops of the hills as well. Sunset is due in about 2 hours, just under 2 hours I think. So I thought we'd have a look up here and see what we can make of it. And it's more going to be about picking out details on the hills, on the distant hills with the snow, because the clouds are coming in now and it could be quite a decent sunset with any luck. But we'll get up there. Hopefully there's not too many crowds because it's quite a popular location, and then we'll see what we can work with. Probably not going to go for the shot that I have done before, which is looking out over Keswick and towards the hills on the other side. Probably going to face the other direction with the longer lens on and see what we can find. But we'll get up there and see how it is. So we've kind of got ourselves settled in. We've taken a low position, as you can see, if I can show you what I'm doing here. I'm kind of perched on the floor because it's so windy. I'm just going to take a shot actually now because there's light rays coming down and it looks really nice. The light's really quite soft at the minute, and the sun's getting lower in the sky. There's a lovely great big bank of cloud right above the hills, which are obviously covered in snow back there. But we're having to get so low because it's really windy up here. I've got the image stabilisation on because I've got the long lens on, the 100 to 200. Yeah, it's that time of day though where that light is coming down and we're getting some beautiful rays coming down here. I'll just spin you round, hang on a sec, and I'll show you what I'm seeing here. And if I point you in the same direction as my camera, you can see what I'm looking at. Absolutely beautiful. And it's the same if I just bring you across slightly. You can see the sun's just going to start to poke out, and it might actually start to blow out, but you can see what we're looking at there. Beautiful. Now what we're doing, or what I'm doing anyway, is eliminating as much of the town as possible, Keswick below, and as much of the lake actually as well. I'm getting more of the hills in there and more of the trees and everything in the lower parts of the valley. That's the idea anyway. So yeah, just looking out over this direction here, you can see the light kicking off now. If we just spin you around slightly and look out towards this direction, you'll see the light going into the valley there, and it's absolutely beautiful right at this moment in time as that sun's getting lower and it's really lighting up out there. So that's what I'm focusing in on. You've got those beautiful dark clouds there, but as I say, because I've got the long lens on, and really I don't want too wide a shot here, because I'm trying to eliminate everything as much as possible and get more of these beautiful sun rays in, and the sun being illuminated, the snow being illuminated by the sun. I'm cracking up because it's so cold. So just firing off shots, doing 16 by 9s, 65 by 24s as well, and yeah, just keeping my settings roughly the same, ISO 100 f16, and just adjusting my shutter speed to match as much as possible. Basically underexposing because it's quite bright. We've got a lot of that sun coming through the bottom of the clouds now, and it's illuminating that snow, and you get a lot of kind of spectral highlights doing that. So just underexposing by about 2 stops to make sure that's not going to happen. I can always bring those shadows back up in post and just rattling off different shots as this light drops. But obviously we're not going to have too much longer, because as you can see the sun's getting quite low, and when it dips behind those hills here, you never know, we might get lucky, we might get some sort of sunset because there's open sky behind it. So fingers crossed, but just getting as much of these as possible because there's some beautiful shots out in that direction. So what I'm going to have to try and do is try and show you on the back of the camera now what I'm looking at. There we go. Just press record now, and you can see I've got a strip panel set up. Now you'll see it's also gone darker from when I was photographing just before there. But you can see I've kind of got one of the mountains off to the left-hand third. God, I can barely feel my hands though, it's freezing. And then the light, as the sun's kind of dipping behind the hills over in this direction, is just illuminating those hills off in the distance there. So basically strip panel on this one, and I've just been reeling off shots. Now obviously I can raise the exposure now because the sun isn't quite in the shot anymore where it was just a minute ago. Just taking shots of that. I've got a few of those, and the sky's really dramatic, but I'm not sure what's going to happen at the minute because this sun is still dipping down below. We don't really know whether we're going to get a lot of light or we're going to get any at all, because it's getting quite dark now actually. So it's going to be very much a case of just kind of suck it and see what happens. And while I'm sitting here, I'm just rattling off shots. I've tried various different aspect ratios. I've tried 16 by 9s. I've tried the full 4:3s. I've tried the strip panos. Just anything that's going to work really. But yeah, it's just it was kind of a last minute thing because where we were this morning, I think it's definitely somewhere to go back to, but there wasn't a great deal around the area other than that one sort of place we found. So it's been a case of trying to chase the light a little bit today. Obviously it's difficult when you've got a blue sky day to do anything with it though, and of course now it's changed. We've got all this cloud coming in and the temperature's really dropped, so just a case of seeing what happens really. Temperature's really dropped now, and the wind is absolutely howling, so I've packed my gear away for the minute because the light seems to be fading quite a lot. You can see there's some interesting clouds just back here going up onto the top of the hills there, but it's absolutely bitterly cold. I think we could get more snow later this week, but the clouds have been beautiful, especially if I spin you around over to this direction here. You can see off in the distance there's some beautiful textured clouds up there, and that's kind of what I've been focusing my attention on back that way. Really good end to the day actually, to get some of these really fantastic textured cloud images with these beautiful snow-covered hills. Just really lovely. Don't think it's going to get a sunset. It doesn't look like it because there seems to be a big thick bank of cloud that's kind of beyond these hills here, so you don't know, it could happen still, so I'm gonna linger around, see what happens with the light, but I think that could be it for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed this week's video, guys. I know it's a bit different. Thanks very much for watching last week's video, by the way. The mental health video did fantastically well. Thanks very much for all your supportive messages. Fantastic to read all your stories, and so glad you enjoyed that video. Anyway, on to next week. Hopefully we get something different next week, and I'll see you again soon. Take care, guys. Bye bye.